a busy time for the city of San Diego. A controversial ban on homeless encampments in public areas goes into effect at the end of the month, and it's also Pride Month here in San Diego. Joining me now to talk about all of that and more is San Diego Mayor Todd Gloria. Thank you so much for being here. You join us every month.
My pleasure, Carlo.
I want to get right into it. Start off with the homeless encampment ban. The ban on camping in public spaces. It goes into effect at the end of this month. A couple of questions just to start out with. One of the mechanisms is that you cannot have an encampment in any public space if there is a shelter bed available.
Correct.
How is that going to work? How will people enforcing know? How will people on the street know?
Well, we very much do that now, actually. The part about the unsafe camping ordinance is the clarification that camping is always prohibited in specific sensitive sites, like near schools and parks. But our current situation is that we do have a bed inventory. Outreach workers are aware of those inventories on a daily basis. Our police officers can also check. It's a little more analog than I'd like. We're trying to make that more digital and more immediate. But point is, when there's a bed available, we have means of communicating that to outreach workers and to police officers, and that will factor into enforcement on the unsafe camping ordinance.
On to enforcement, what kind of training is being done? What will officers have to do in this situation? I understand that there's a 3 strikes mechanism in here until they may cite people. What's going to work there?
Correct. So we currently are updating our training bulletins per the council's action. We're providing that training now. Officers are very much used to this currently. We've always followed a progressive enforcement model. This will be very much like that. And we'll have them prepared and ready to go by July, end of the month. What I will remind your viewers is that 3-touch thing will still happen afterwards. So it's not necessarily an immediate situation of a custodial arrest come the end of the month. We will continue to educate, inform, and then try and connect individuals to services. But of course, if they decline and we have a bed available, that is not a fair answer. You must accept those services. We need to get you into care and to safety. You had a story at the top of your show about a homeless individual being killed in a park earlier today. That's the kind of stuff that why camping outdoors is unsafe and why getting into shelters is so much more preferable.
I want to stay on the encampments for a moment. So when it comes to being cited 3 times, what are the consequences? What are real consequences for people who are unhoused, unsheltered, living on the streets if they say no? And are we making it a criminal act?
Well, we making it a potential misdemeanor. So remember, there's education, then there's a citation, and then there can be a custodial arrest. Now, at any point during that time, an individual can accept services, an individual can choose to relocate. So I don't anticipate a lot of folks ending up in that position, but it does happen. It happens today. It will happen after this comes along. And Carlo, we have to get people in a position to actually accept services. We have over 50 contractors that go out on a daily basis contacting individuals on our streets. These are non-law enforcement folks offering services. Most of the time, they are turned down for that help that they provide. They live with an ethos of today's no is tomorrow's yes, and so they go back again and again. But we want to incentivize and encourage individuals to accept that help. Accepting that help gets them connected to services that will ultimately end their homelessness. That will not happen if they persist on the sidewalk.
And my understanding is it takes multiple contacts before anybody who's living on the street will open up and respond to that outreach.
Yeah, well, it makes sense, right? A stranger coming up to you and saying, hey, come with me. I mean, it makes sense. But the fact is, when you have that level of investment, reminder, our taxpayers of this city will spend over $200 million trying to provide homeless services. When we're making that level of investment, I don't think it's unreasonable to expect our sidewalks to be safe and hygienic.
All right, saw the story we had at the top of our newscast on the safe sleeping sites, some complaints about them. What do you have to say to people? They're saying that so far there are no promised amenities on the location, and it's only housing a little more than a dozen people right now.
Well, we're barely a week into its operation, and what I know is no matter what shortcomings there may be at the site right now, it is preferable to the sidewalk. As one of the folks was speaking in that piece, she feels safer, and that's exactly the point. But what I know is that our provider on site, Dreams for Change, which is a local nonprofit that works with the homeless, is able to interact with those individuals every single day as they provide food, as they provide care. As this program ramps up, you will see more amenities and more offerings at that particular site. And what I know for sure, Carlo, is that people in that location are far more likely to be able to be connected to a permanent housing resource and therefore in their homelessness than the other people who are on sidewalks all throughout the city, in our canyons and our parks, who are not connected to services and surely are unsafe and will never be connected to a solution to their homelessness.
Is part of this ramp up so that the people on site can kind of learn what they're doing, they can understand the flow of getting people into services, that type of thing?
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, you and I can talk about this in an academic perspective. We're not direct providers. We're not there having to care for individual human lives, multiple of them all at the same time. This is a new program to the city of San Diego. We have long had shelters, both congregate and non-congregate. We provide affordable housing, but we have not provided a safe sleeping site like this before. We are ramping up to make sure that we can provide adequate care when when this is fully deployed, we're anticipating perhaps over 500 individual tents. We need to make sure we do it right.
Yeah, when is the next one scheduled to be online? I believe it's the Balboa Park parking lot?
Correct. Lot O, which is just south of the Naval Hospital. We anticipate that opening this fall, early this fall. Work on that site is actually being performed as we speak.
July is San Diego Pride Month. It's a big deal. And this is an interesting year in this segment. There have been hundreds and hundreds of new laws proposed in state legislatures aimed at the LGBTQ community. When you hear that and you think about Pride Month in San Diego, what are your thoughts?
I think those actions that you talk about, those hundreds of anti-LGBTQ laws, remind us why Pride is necessary. Yes, it's a celebration, but it's also an opportunity to take action. And what I think is when young people who may be figuring out who they are feel uncomfortable, unsafe, when they see hundreds of thousands of people taking to the streets of San Diego to show their support for them, I hope that they feel less alone. I hope that they understand that this will get better, and that folks like myself and others who are out there marching support them, see them, will back them up, and will support them as they figure out who they are. But right now more than ever, I think Pride is really important, whether it's attacking drag queens, attacking transgender people, or the action of the Supreme Court just last week saying that gay people should be second-class citizens denied services by businesses. That's pretty shocking, and that explains why Pride is necessary.
We'll see you out there at the parade. We have an entry, and we'll see you out there. Mayor Todd, Gloria, thank you for being here again another month, and we'll see you next month as well. Thank you so much.
Sounds good.